name is Haggai Chomba, and I'm from Zambia, born and bred here. My background is in economics, did my undergrad and my postgraduate as well from the University of Zambia. And since my undergrad, I've been in the impact investment space, particularly within the ecosystem building. And I plan to go into MBA or use MBA as an opportunity for me to pivot into private equity or venture capital. And yeah, so happy to share more information about my journey, MBA admission journey, and also any other information that you'd want me to share about this process. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Haggai. Next is Anifowoshe Shakirat. Would you want you to just introduce yourself? I don't know if Anifowoshe is on the call.
So Shakirat is also having internet issues, but I think she's going to join back shortly.
Okay, so Abisinuola David-Olusa.
Hi everyone. My name is Abisinuola David-Olusa. Call me Abby. I am an accounting undergrad. I graduated from Olawore University here in Lagos, Nigeria. So I'm a Nigerian, right? And I currently work as an investment associate in an infrastructure-focused private equity fund called African Infrastructure Investment Managers. So I look at infrastructure across like the entire continent. I'm really excited to be here today, and I will be joining the Harvard Business School this fall. So I'm really excited about that. So happy to answer your questions around the entire MBA process.
Yeah, thanks so much, Abisinuola. Yeah, Samuel.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Oh, so can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Samuel Olawore. I graduated from the University of Lagos, where I studied applied physics. And I'm currently working at Sterling Bank of Nigeria. Currently, I lead the team of database administrators in Sterling Bank, where I manage all the sensitive informations, all customers' informations, and all the bank's information. And I'm happy to be here. And also, I'll be going to the Fisher College of Business. And thank you very much for having me here.
Thanks so much, Samuel. It's like Anifowoshe is still having some issues with her network. Pending when she resolved that, I think we could just set the ball rolling. So my first question to the panelists would, and that would be to Haggai. So I would just want to ask, with respect to your MBA journey, how was it like? Can you just share with us what was the motivation? I know you talked about the fact that you wanted to vote. What was the motivation for you to do an MBA, and at what point you decided that this is what you wanted to do, and how was it like for you when you started?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I've been thinking about MBA program for some time. So after graduating from undergrad, I got into the industry, impact investment industry, and I was working for a global steering group for impact investment by then. And so I was fascinated by the kind of the work I was doing, which is just really mobilizing capital, which is addressing social, environmental issues in Africa. And after working 2 years there, then my interest of going into the MBA program became more apparent, because I knew MBA would provide me with a platform. I think there are two things and I'm still really looking forward to my MBA program. One is the network of really like-minded people within the industry, which I can associate myself with. MBA, especially US MBA programs, being global in nature, really attracts a huge pool of students across the world. And I really needed myself to be at the center of that network for me to kind of grow in the space I wanted to be in. But by then, I was just about, I think I had only 2 years of experience. And after talking to a few of my mentors, they advised that I needed to work a little bit more, looking at where you're going. I mean, it's not only academic experience that you gain from the MBA, but you are also contributing to the community. So sharing what you have been going through work or other extracurricular activities that you've been doing. And at the same point, I was kind of given a different scholarship by the Central Bank of Zambia here to do a postgraduate master's in economics. So that kind of disturbed me into pursuing that fully. I'd already done my test, GRE, I started with GRE. And so I committed myself to enroll in that program. And I saw at the back of my mind I needed to go outside to do my program. Then after I finished, that was in 2019. In 2020, then I felt that I was very ready, and I talked to a number of people, both Zambians, but those who are studying overseas as well. And I think it's very, very important for those wanting to do MBA to talk to as many people as possible, especially when it comes with school selection, the other things that involved. And I think some of these things we'll talk about during the call. And it's then that I realized that I think I've gained enough experience, and I really needed to be more involved in the listings. And all this time I've been involved in the ecosystem building, with mobilizing stakeholders, working with government, working with investors, working with businesses to really bring them together, but not really in actual investing. And that's where my interest and my curiosity is. How can I drive capital, more capital in Africa, in projects that are addressing social implementation? And for me, that's a drive, using the MBA to kind of get into the investing side of the world. And I thought MBA would give me an edge to help me transition to that role. So I started application again in 2021. I had to write GMAT this time, and probably explain some of the reasons I had to do that. And I was privileged to get into. I only applied to 2 schools, and I was privileged to get into those 2 schools. One of them, which I've accepted, which is the Ross Business School. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Haggai. I noted the fact where you said you had to do a lot of consultations with respect to schools, with respect to know if you are really fit to put in your applications and the likes. I would like to go to Abisinuola with respect to the same question I asked Haggai. So for you, being admitted in a school like Harvard, I would just want to ask, when did you decide an MBA was the next step for you? And were you so particular about Harvard? 2 questions. When did you decide an MBA was the next step for you, and why Harvard? Yeah.
Sure. So like I said, I'm in finance, so I knew at some point that MBA was like in the picture, but I wasn't sure when. But funny story, so some time in my office, I was just like going through profiles of like going to the website of other infrastructure funds, right? And I was checking their team, and I just saw this person did masters in one place in the UK. This person has an MBA from one top school in the UK. And in my head, I was like, okay, I like Obafemi University, but like this was the time for me to add something else that would make me a more global professional, right? So that was like the backstory. That sounds vain, but that was how it happened. But like I said, an MBA was definitely always in the picture. Since 2019, I can remember when I was like just 1 year out of school then. I can remember when I sent like a LinkedIn request to someone that just come out, finished from Harvard Business School. Then I was like, oh, I think I want to do my MBA at some point, but then I'll get work experience. But yeah, I definitely want to come to Harvard. But it was like when I knew that I'd spent some time in the industry working in infrastructure, I knew that I wanted to like become a more global professional. So I knew that this was like the particular time I wanted to like really go and do my MBA. Then I had about 4 years experience coming out of school. So it was just like perfect for me. Then with regards to like the school choice, oh yes, I knew I wanted to go to Harvard Business School. Cause I don't know. But yeah, I knew I wanted to go to Harvard Business School. Like I said, since 2019, I reached out to someone and I was like, oh, I want to come to your school. And even though I didn't make any active effort from like 2019, when I was putting together my school list, the first school on the list was Harvard Business School. And after I applied in January, I can remember writing my name in their email format because I knew that I was going to go to Harvard Business School. But yeah, Harvard was definitely on top of my list right from the get-go.
Thanks so much,
Abis.
Yeah. I just observed that. Thanks so much for that. While on the call, I saw Shakirat and Anifowoshe just joined the call. So Shakirat, it's good to have you on the call. Just before you joined, we had the other panelists introduce themselves, then started with the first question. So we just want you to also just introduce yourself while we'll take up another question.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry for joining late. I had some issues with connectivity. My name is Shakirat Anifowoshe. I'm currently a finance professional. I have about 4 years experience in investment banking and investment research. I've gotten admitted into the Columbia Business School MBA program and Rothman School of Management and Darden School of Management MBA programs for class of 24, and I'm still trying to make my decision. So I don't know what else I'm going to have in my introduction.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So the next question I would just want to ask before I go back to Samuel will be for you. At what time did you feel MBA was the next step for you?
That's a very good question. I think sometime around this time last year, I arrived at the decision to actively pursue an MBA program. And that was because I scanned the finance industry in Nigeria. I sort of had a picture of the kind of income and the kind of opportunities I wanted to be able to access. And I felt like, that the access I would need to get to those opportunities, I couldn't have with the work experience I had currently. The other opportunities that came my way, I didn't really like them. So I decided to pursue an MBA so I could have much broader options for myself, much broader global options for myself, in a finance career that I am looking to pursue.
Oh, great. Thanks so much, Shakirat. We could see that one of the drivers for you to get that global exposure, which is one of the reasons so many other professionals really want to go get an MBA. Right away, I would like to go to Samuel. Samuel, the question would be, at what point in time you feel MBA was the next step for you?
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Well, for me, I have a lot of experience in the banking environment and in the financial services space. I've done a lot of projects. I've been with the biggest banks in Nigeria, the GT banks of this world, the First Bank, and I've done a lot of projects, over 20 projects. And I've also worked with external consultants. I've worked with external auditors, E&Y, Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, and for me at the time I was saying, since I've been in this financial space, there is still more I still can achieve. Although my background was in the technical space, but I thought to myself, there is still more I can still learn. So that was what propelled me to going into finance. I started studying some people. Elon Musk was one of the person I started studying. I read a book about him, and then there was this book, Complete MBA for Dummies. And this book again, I read one book again. I was given to me by one of my friend, MBA in a day. So when I was going through this book, I noticed that there is more in store for me. And considering the fact that I'm even coming from a financial space and the financial services space and the banking environment, I can easily pivot into investment banking, being considering the fact that I'm coming into that from that environment. And also, there is a very good friend of mine. We were both colleagues then in First Bank. This guy, anytime we're having maybe kind of issues in the bank, transactions, users couldn't connect to to the database and the rest. But one thing is always fascinating about this guy. You just see him reading books around MBA. And one day I now thought to myself, why is this guy, what's all this thing about MBA? One day I now called him. It was the guy started, putting me through what MBA is all about. So from there, I was now connecting the dots from the books I've read and the books I've read on MBA and what this guy's also saying on MBA. So from there, that passion was now beginning to come. I was now having that passion around that MBA. So from there, I was not seeing myself as, already have that, knowledge and that background. From there, I got to know about Lane. And from there, I got to know about Olamide and Samuel Adoye. So from there, Olamide, I was asking, there was a time, there was this private discussion between myself and Olamide. So from there, that passion was now beginning to come in. Also from there, I started, reading for my GRE. So that was how the passion came. And all these things started around late 2019, around November, December 2019. That was where I started thinking about MBA. And lo and behold, here I am today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Samuel, for that robust response. It's good to know the motivation behind how you started and to know that you started in 2019 and here we are in 2022. You're already MBA admitted students. So my next question, because of time, would be to Haggai, and the question would be, we'll be speaking to the challenges you faced on your MBA journey with different aspects of your application, speaking about your tests, talking about the support and the resources, the resource you use, the communities that helped you in your MBA journey, resources, communities such as Lane, and how did they make your journey seamless? So we just want to hear the challenges and the resource and support you got while on the MBA journey.
Yeah, so because I started the process a bit early, I had enough time to navigate most of these challenges with regards to the tests and also some of it. So when it comes to the support, so I had a few of my colleagues within my circle who are already in the US, and some of them at SBS and others at Wharton, who were where I was connecting with to just get insight in terms of what they went through. And I think started that process quite early. So I had to do first the GRE, as they said, I did the GRE sometime back. I didn't feel like I was in that quarter I wanted to be to make my application so competitive. So I had to change in 2020 and did the GMAT. Which I got what I wanted, score that I wanted. But as you realize, when it comes to MBA applications in most business schools, that they're kind of looking at the application more holistically. So they're looking at not just the test scores, they're looking at what's your story, your experience, what you bring to the school, and how is your career path, how does your career path look like? So I think most of the challenges I encountered was obviously the tests. So I was full-time in work. I didn't have so much time to really dedicate to that. So I spent a little bit of some time just to make sure that I do it once and for all. I didn't want to pay again. I mean, costly. I mean, sometimes you have to, when you're in a high paying job, it makes it easier for you to do 3 times, 4 times, and you want just to do once. So I took a little bit of some time and did a lot of mocks to make sure that by the time I was doing the final or test, I had enough, a very good score, which I wanted, which I think we managed to get. Then secondly, when it comes to the application itself, obviously resources in terms of what's the school's culture, I think that's very, very important. I wanted myself to really align myself to that. I didn't want to apply to 10 schools. And to be honest, I just didn't have time to do that. So I had to really make sure that I pick the schools which are best, which actually portrayed which I think I would get the best culture. With regards to what I wanted to do, but also I was looking at things like community, location, and all those kind of things. But also, it's also when it comes to essay application as well. So sometimes we kind of tend to rush to writing stuff, minus really reflecting. So I took a little bit of some time. In fact, a huge amount of time went into just really reflecting, how should I kind of package my story? Different schools are asking different things. So I applied only to 2 schools, by the way, as I said. So I applied to Ross, University of Michigan, and MIT Sloan, which I both got the offers. But there are kind of different essays. So how do I kind of package my story, ensure that it's compelling, and also it speaks to what they're looking for, because different schools have got different things they're looking for. So I had to attend dozens of webinars, and this is one thing I would encourage those applying to business schools, be it mostly in the UK, the US, to do. Attend those webinars, register for them to see what are they really looking for. So I did that, and so I had to rewrite. I think the support by then I didn't know the rent, so I just came to know it after my admission. So yeah, so I really relied on my friends, and also just reaching out to the admission team in these schools to see, okay, I want to find out about this. How do you go about it? What kind of recommenders are you looking for, and those kind of things. So over time, I found that even though it was some of this process was very challenging, it really helped me to know myself better and find a compelling way in which I can present myself in kind of 2 or 3 words or sentences in terms of what I want to be or what I want to do. So yeah, so those are kind of a few things that I would kind of highlight, and I think there are more which I think my other colleagues would mention.
Yeah, thanks so much, Haggai. Sincerely, the MBA journey is one that will really make you to want to retrospect, want to take a step backward, to think about yourself, to learn about a thing or two. And talking about the resources, I hear you talk about attending webinars organized by some of these schools you are looking out for, reaching out to current students, reaching out to the admission team or the outcome members as well, really go long ways to help. I would want to direct my next question to Shakira in the same order. What were the challenges you faced during your MBA journey? And what are the resources that make the journey seamless? Resources in terms of either it could be community, it could be any resources at all that you use that assisted you in the MBA journey. And what are the challenges you actually faced as well? Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, the major challenge I faced was the tests, the test score I was going to use for my application. I had a lot of healthy dose of extracurricular experience, so I didn't struggle to find leadership experiences I could call on. And my academics from undergrad was also quite good, and my work experience is also quite solid, but I really struggled with the tests. So I think the mistake I made, and I'll probably just say that, and hopefully other people don't make that mistake, is I just started out, I said I wanted to do the MBA, and I jumped into studying for the GMAT. And after studying for a couple of while, and that was quite demanding in addition to the very demanding workload I had. I wrote the GMAT and I discovered, okay, this score is too far from my target score. Then at that point, I reached out to people. I tried to get their guidance, and then I realized that they advised me to write a GRE mock, and then I wrote the GRE mock, and I realized I think I can perform better with GRE than the GMAT. So perhaps, to save you time and money, potential applicants, write a GRE and GMAT mock first before you register for any, before you start studying for any, so you don't waste your time and money in that process. So that was one challenge I faced. The other challenge I faced was sort of curating all the experiences I had from school, from work, from my academic background and the future plans into a good story. And that takes a lot of time. You just can't jump on your Word document and start writing and listen. It takes a lot of time to find a story that sells. So you need to write a draft, share it with people, find a consultant if you can, and keep doing that. I think the resource I had that really, really helped, two resources in particular, and they are both communities. One is I actually got admitted into the main African mentorship, MBA mentorship program, LAM. And I think try to apply for LAM, access to all the mentors in LAM. You also have access to a folder that, in addition to the general link Telegram group chat, you have access to people that are really tracking your progress. And I think I could have fallen off my quote and unquote my progress map if I didn't have that, because I had Samuel and he kept asking for my progress on the things I was doing, and it was really helpful. The other resource I had was a group of people that were all brought together by past educational experience we had, and were all sort of mentored by a particular person, Mabatile, and that was quite helpful for us to come together and hold each other accountable. Abby was also on that group chat. So hold each other accountable, to share resources. So there were some things everybody didn't buy. For instance, you don't have to buy. I don't want to cast any provider, but yeah, you don't have to buy. All of us don't have to buy particular resources. One person can buy and share with everyone, and it just really helps. To find the community, I think that's what works. Yes, Edubridge Abatini Olabisu. So the program was really for Edubridge alumni that are interested in.
Oh, great. Thanks so much, Shakirat. I could understand the place of community. I don't think the MBA journey is something you can do all alone. And I think it's something that you need to do with like-minded folks as well. And from what you've talked about, just to reiterate, you advise the fact that it's also good, especially the test has been known to be one of the major challenge for most applicants. And you talked about the applicant trying to know their strengths, if it's going to be the GRE or the GMAT. You can never tell, because it's like most people are more fixated to GRE, but then it's also good to try to give it a try. Let's have a mock for both the GRE and the GMAT to know which you have more strength in. You also talk about sharing your stories with either current students or people that are already in that path as well, which also helps you. You also talked about the LAMP network program organized by City of Lane. I talked about the Edubridge community, and I think our participants today would be glad, and will be willing to make use of some of all these resources you've made use of. I would like to go next to Abisinuola to also tell us the challenges she faced and the resources in terms of communities she made use of. But then before Abisinuola will answer that question, for you to take a GRE or mock or GRE or GMAT test, there are so many sites. Magoosh, there are a lot of resources. You can just Google it, or you can just go on Google and Google. You can see free sites where you could just take free mock tests just to know your strengths. Shakira, you want to say something?
Yeah, in addition to those free sites, ETS itself, the organizers and GMAC, the organizers of GMAC have a free on their website. All you need to do is create an account. You don't need to pay anything. Create an account, and at least they have one and write for free. So you don't want to use the other.
Oh, thank you. And also for our prospective, and for our prospective members, once you join the Lane Telegram, the Lane Telegram group, you have a lot of resources, you have a lot of access to some of all these resources with respect to sites, with respect to other materials that will really need to prepare you for the MBA journey. So Abisinuola, would like to hear your own, the challenges you faced and the resources you've made use of.
So I hope you guys can hear me because I think my internet was like acting up for a bit. But I would start from like the resources because I have like a little story to tell, right? So it was like mid 2021. I was like, when I started to think about like the MBA and how I wanted to like do the MBA. So in my mind, because I told you Harvard was like on top of the list, but at some point I had like some self-doubt and I was like, okay, maybe you're like reaching too high. Maybe you should sort of streamline that list and like aim for something else, like not Harvard Business School and stuff. So while I was thinking about that, I go on LinkedIn and I think I saw a post from Samuel Adeoye, and he was like talking about something MBA related. And I saw that he went to he was currently doing his MBA, right? So I sent him like a LinkedIn request and I sent him like a message saying that, oh, that I would like to like get more information on how like his whole process went and stuff. And the next thing he did was he sent me like a link to the Lane Telegram group. And I joined the group and I just saw like this like huge resource where everyone was like talking, different people were like in different stages of their journey. And they were just providing like resources, like Olamide said, the opportunity sheets. And there was like so much to learn and everyone was giving that advice for free. And I think the second part that sort of blew my mind and like just made me know that I could aim for HBS was the fact that the first Zoom session I joined like this was one where Daniel Jayoba, who is currently first year student at Harvard Business School, was on and he was like talking about his experience. So the fact that I could see him and see that he had done what I was about to do was like the representation I needed in that sense, right? And it was like it was so timely at that point, and that was how I joined Lane. And I was also part of like the LAMP program, which was like really, really helpful. And like Shakirat mentioned, I was also part of like the EduBridge group. Like I was joining lots of groups at that point. I was also part of Access, Admit Me Access, sorry. So Admit Me is like a group for like every other person, not just like restricted to like Nigeria, Africa. So those were like the communities I joined that were like really, really helpful. People were giving advice for free. Like I can remember for Admit Me also, they will have like this real talk session where this person that is supposed to be like an MBA consultant and be charging like what $500 per hour or something, is like telling you how to go about stuff and things like that. So those were like the communities I just sort of plugged into. And like Shakirat mentioned, the EduBridge group, the fact that you're like in a community of like 10 other people that are doing the same things that you're doing and going through the journey just like you, is like the support that you really, really need, because you can't like do the MBA journey by yourself. It's like a very long stretch. You really can't do it by yourself. So you just need people that are making like mistakes like you or are confused about certain things just like you, and they can provide like some insight or provide like a different perspective. And in terms of like challenges, oh my God, my test, Jesus Christ, like I don't know. I feel like I always felt like I was like a good, like when it comes to like exams, tests, like it won't be that hard, right? And when people are talking about different parts of the application, I would never have imagined that my test would be like the challenge for me. It was like the reason why I didn't even apply in round one, because I applied to all my schools in round two. So I did the GRE from the get-go, but I wrote it 3 times, right? And the third time, it's not like my score was like 330 or something fantastic, right? But it was at that point, I was like, okay, I'm just going to like focus on like other parts of my application. Because you usually hear that the process is an holistic, like they look at things from an holistic point, and that's like actually really true. So I would say the test was a problem. And so December, because round 2 deadlines are usually like first week in January. So December was like a whole lot of stress, because then I was like mostly done with work and I was just focusing on trying to get all my essays out. I applied to 5 schools and I was just trying to get my essays out. And I would like be waking up 2 a.m. and I'll be like, oh, okay, this part of my story sounds interesting. Let me put this in. Oh, and I'll send it to like different people to look at it. And they're like, oh no, I think you should still like adjust everything. You know, when they say things politely like that, right? So I had to do like a lot of work on my essay. My HBS essay took me like 2 months before I actually thought about the storyline, and like I really came to like a conclusion on like the angle I was going to like put out for my HBS story, because it was like really big. But those were like two things that I saw that was like really, really challenging. My recommendation wasn't a problem at all. So yeah, so I'll say in terms of like resources, the community is like really, really important. Lane, join LAMP and be dedicated to it. Join any other community you can find. Admit Me is also like really, really good. And you should also be prepared to join like webinars till like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., right? For women, like the 40, they usually have like some webinars. Schools have webinars till like 2 a.m. because of like the time difference. But you really should like put yourself out there so that like AdCom can begin to like take notice and like look up your like be anticipating your profile and your application and stuff. So yeah, I hope I've not spoken for too long.
No. I get that. No, I think it's fine. Thanks so much for that. It was quite a very robust and detailed response, and we really do appreciate you for that as well. In as much as would like to also like want the participants as well to have the opportunity to ask their question. We could see that some participants are already dropping their question on the Q&A session already, the question platform, and we have a lot of resources here to answer your question. So we'll just try as much as we can to finish the first part, which is the panelist session. Then we have, so that the panelists as well can answer the questions from the participants. But then before then, I would just want to ask Samuel, for you, my question for you would be, was funding a major concern for you on your MBA? And if you have to do the MBA process again, what will you change?
Wow, was funding a major concern, and if I had to do the MBA again, what will I change? Wow. Well, for me, funding was a major concern because I know that, getting an MBA, as we always say in this part of the world, is not beans. It comes with a lot of hard work, the financials, it comes with a lot of money. So funding was a real big factor for me. And I would say, let me say, I cut myself short, let me put it that way, because I noticed that, I had some very good profile. When I had a kind of one-on-one session with Samuel and Olamide, when they look at my profile, they notice that I am married, I have children, and I've written my GRE, and I scored 170 over 170 in quantitative. I scored 165 over 170 in verbal, and someone was like, "Wow, how did you do it?" I was like, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of stories, and for me, it wasn't really easy. So if the funding part, I had to apply very early. I applied in round one. All my applications were in round one, and before that round one, Olamide and Samuel in Lane were prepping me. And before then, the CV I had was the normal conventional CV, because I had a lot of work experience in the bank. I've transitioned from one bank to the other, and I also have a kind of leadership experience. So Samuel was like a kind of saying, "No, this CV cannot work for you." So myself and Olamide worked through my CV, and they helped me prep my CV. I also have a kind of extracurricular activities. I told them what I've done so far, how I built, Python programming to predict the rate of diabetes among pregnant women, how I have also reduced the unemployment rate in Lagos State by training over 300 students, and how I've also trained youth in 2 remote villages in Lagos here. So someone was like, "Man, you have a very good CV. We need to just package this thing and just sell it out." That's one. Then another thing is now my essay. Then I didn't know how to write essay. The Lane group, someone now gave me a format on how to write that essay. So all those things combined, I did all those things prior to round one. So immediately round one came in, I was now throwing my CV. So someone now told me something that, hey guy, why don't you apply to the likes of Harvard, Stanford? I now said, that's why I said I cut my step short. I now told Samuel, I said, when I didn't tell Samuel that anyway, in my mind, I just said, I beg, this guy just give me a beg, let me apply to, the second tier in quotes schools. So that was how I now went through P&Q, Financial Times. I was now going through those schools. So from there, I now started applying to those schools. And I understand that, you could easily get funding by applying very early, round one and round two. So I prepared all my essay, my CV, my GRE. Like I said, I have 170 over 170. My GRE score was very, very good, 335 over 400. So I have all those things in place. I have my wife also proofread my essay. I have friends in my place of work also proofread my essay too. And I reached out to some of the current students in all those schools I also I wanted to apply to. Some of them also proofread my essays, and there was a lot of corrections here and there, even from Lane. I also got some friends on Lane too. I sent my materials to them, and they also proofread all those things. So those things, I now package all those things into package all those points. And during this during the year one, I now started applying. So from there, almost all the, I would say 99% of the schools I applied to actually called me for an interview. So I was very, very happy. And the challenges I faced, like I said, I'm a married man, and I have 2 kids. So, juggling the family, the GRE exam, essay writing, and work and everything was very, very challenging. But, what really worked well for me was the resources I have in Lane. And I also, I also have time for, have a time for myself and also for my family. I ensure that there wasn't a kind of overlap between all these segments of my life. Also, work is there, meeting deadline in my place of work, all those things. So I ensure that, one didn't suffer for the other. So I think that was my whole story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. So sorry, we are about wrapping up. So we just want to address some of the questions we're having on the chat box. The panelists could also the panelists could also jump on any of the questions. And there's a question. I would like to take this question to Abisinuola. Did you get some scholarship option for HBS? Then I think, yeah, and another person said, could you please be kind enough to share? Okay, I think you must have shared this along the line, but maybe you should just want to ask, just briefly, because of, Jolani, you want to say something?
Okay, no, go ahead. I'll let Abi take that. I just wanted to make a quick announcement. All right. Okay,
that's fine. Okay, that's fine. After Abi.
Sure. Yeah. So with regards to like scholarships, so Harvard runs like a need-based scholarship. So their scholarships are like need-based, not merit-based. So unlike other schools that when they give you like your admission letter, you sort of, they also send like how much they would like be giving you initially, and you can negotiate and whatever. For Harvard is like merit-based for admission and need-based for scholarship, right? So after you get your admission, everyone would now apply for need-based aid. So so you have to like give information like how much you currently earn or have earned over the last 3 years, if you support your family, things like that, so that they can sort of estimate how much like you really need. But the thing is, Harvard doesn't cover like the full cost of attendance, because they believe in like shared investment. So they believe you as the student should be able to contribute something to your MBA program. But in terms of like the amount that they give on an average basis. So I'm currently like in the process of putting in my financial aid application. So I do not have the amount I was given specifically, but I was talking to like a current student that's in Nigerian also, and he was like, Harvard is like really, really generous to Nigerians, Africans, right? First of all, by the time you convert your Naira salary to USD, when you're declaring like your income, like the exchange rate, first of all, kills everything. So you're like in a good position. So that's fine. But the thing is, he was like, they give up to 60 to 80% of your entire cost of attendance. So most times, the money they give you can cover your tuition, right? Which is like a surprise. I thought maybe they didn't even give any money, like any significant funding, and I was ready to like get external funding, get loans and whatever. But I'm currently like in the process of my application, so I don't know how much I'd actually get. But in terms of like past experiences with like what other Nigerians or Africans in other years have gotten, it's usually significant. So they're not stingy with money like that. And I think another thing is in terms of like funding. So one other, like my plan when I was like thinking about everything and structuring things when I was applying was the fact that, so 7 Up gives one Nigerian every year that stayed in Nigeria for I think the past 5 years or something, gives one Nigerian full tuition and accommodation. So that's something to definitely consider. And I will be applying for that because I mean, why should I not apply for that? But they give one Nigerian. So if you're lucky, you get bankroll to school, you just be flexing and just take like little loans to cover like every other stuff. So they cover your accommodation and they cover your tuition like fully and your travel. So it's like you're like just cruising. I don't know what the second question. Oh, the second question was in terms of like my essay, I believe. Yeah. So the thing is, I think to approach like the essay bits, right, you have to like be really, really strategic. And one thing you should be thinking of is how can I be unique? Finish, like full stop. How can I be unique? So like most people that come for finance, for example, you might be like investment banking, private equity, consulting, or whatever. But in that like post MBA goal, you should also be able to articulate how what you're doing is particularly unique, right? For my own story, so I'm currently in infrastructure, like I mentioned, I work at AIM. So I currently do infrastructure, and my long-term, my post-MBA goal was targeted towards working in like the clean tech space, so clean energy, right? So it was very, very specific. So it wasn't just I want to do private equity post like MBA. It was like very specific, and I had to tie why I had the motivation to do that, right, to my long-term goal, and also tie back to like my past experience, if I had like any personal experience that triggered that motivation. So things like that. So that's how you like typically link that story. And you just have to make sure it's unique. So you don't just say, I'm going to do investment banking. What team, what team in investment banking are you looking to work in, and why are you working on that in that particular team? If you want to do like telcos, for example, maybe you had experience with for example, maybe financial inclusion or whatever, do you get? So you just tie it like that and say, I want to work in this specific team in this investment, in an investment bank, in a global investment bank, because I'm looking to do X, Y, in the long term. And these are like my past experiences that drive that motivation. So that's how you like typically link the story. And you have to make sure it's like really niche but achievable, right? Your goal should be achievable. You should not say you want to work in one sector that they've never ever, none of their students have ever gone to, or they don't even know how it really works, right? So yeah, things like that. And you should definitely, when you're thinking about your essay, you should definitely like reach out to current students or people that have finished or alums. They can guide you on like, because you have to know how to answer the question they're asking. So they'll guide you on how, if you're actually responding to the question or not. Yeah. So they're like really, really good.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much, Abisinuola. So sorry, we're a bit running out of time. So, but at this point in time, I would just want to hand over to Jolade to take it up from here. Jolade.
Okay. No, hi. Right. It's just a quick one. So Shakirat had spoken about LAMP, and someone sent me a message to say, what is LAMP? So I wanted our friend here, Ola, to speak about LAMP really quickly, just so that everybody knows what that is. Thanks, all there.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me or hear me? Hi, everyone. Yeah, so LAMP is obviously to help the national group from failing. Yeah, LAMP is a mentorship and accountability program for aspiring MBA candidates. The main idea is to pair these candidates with members who or people who are already in programs or alumnus of these programs to sort of guide them through elements of the program. So there is a structure and a curriculum. However, depending on the level of preparedness of the applicant, there's room for the applicant to kind of to evolve the process with their mentors. And this year we had excellent results in terms of everyone who participated, apart from 2 dropouts, all got offers from different business schools, I believe mostly in the US, and many of them got thousands of dollars in scholarships. So look out for reports in a couple of, this week, it's almost done. And then we will also, the official calendar will be out. So I would like to encourage everyone to apply to this program because it could be the difference in terms of your application outcomes. Thank you.
All right, super. Thank you, Ola. I'm sure that has answered everybody's question about what is LAMP, and it's definitely something you want to be a part of, like Ola said, so just be on the lookout for that. Adebola, you've done a great job trying to keep to time. Sorry, I know it's our fault. We started a bit late with the mix-ups from one Zoom link to another, but yeah, over to you. I'm sure we can take a few more questions if our panelists can spare a few more minutes. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So at this point, would want any of our participants to, they can just come off mute and ask their questions. They could direct their questions to any of the panelists at this point. So if you have your questions, you can just raise your hand or just go off mute and ask your question.
Okay, so it seems like some of us are a bit audio shy. There's a question here where I think this is for Shakira. So it's saying, okay, making a decision when you have more than one offer sounds like it's really tough. How would you say you navigated that, or you are in the process of navigating that?
Well, so I have 3 offers that I'm currently evaluating. So for me, there are a couple of factors that are very, very important. Number one is funding. Funding is key. So that definitely weighs on that. I think secondly would be the issue the school has had in sort of providing the platform for people for what I'm trying to achieve. I mean, of course, you want to go to a school that has a very strong history on what you're trying to achieve. So I think those are the 2 major things for me: funding and, of course, the platform the school has provided in the past. So I'm navigating that is, number one, engaging a lot of people, current students, alumni of the 3 schools I got into, asking them about the program itself, asking them about how they've negotiated the offer they got from each school for scholarship, and ensuring that I fully maximize sort of the funding options from each of those schools. Then, I guess, of course, pray. I mean, pray is the third option, and hopefully before the end of next month or this month, I can finally make a decision for myself.
Thanks so much, Shakira.
Perhaps I can just add one thing to Shakira.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I had faced a similar challenge as well when it comes to selecting 2 schools. I said I want to apply to 2 schools, Sloan and Rose. And I mean, it was very tough. I was around 1 admit, and pretty much on the top of the agenda, I think 60% of the weighting was going to funding. Cost of MBA in the US is very high. If you convert it to our local currencies, it's huge. So I needed to not take on. Most MBA students take on loans, but I wasn't considering that. If I was to consider, then it would be maybe just fair share of the amount. So I got someone is notorious, out of the M7 schools, not kind of giving this need-based scholarship, and it was 25%. And I got a full ride plus very huge stipend from Ross. So I think it was a huge decision for me because I really wanted to. I had to compare the employment people. So this is one of the few. The second thing I was actually looking at. Okay, how do the employment reports look like in the industry in which I want to get in? Where are they pressing most of the students, and how has been the trend been going over the past few years? And kind of compared that, and that also helped me to arrive at that decision. So yeah, I guess where you go where money is at the end of the day.
Yeah, thanks so much, Haggai.
I think.
Who is that? Who's saying? Is that someone wanting to ask a question? Somewhere.
No,
okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, I think I still toe the line of Shakirat and Haggai. So for me too, is still funding. I think I got admitted into almost all the school I applied to. Some 85% scholarship with stipends. And the one I chose was Fisher College of Business because I got full funded scholarship with graduate assistantship. So for me, funding was the first thing. And others too, I got some sort of funding too. Like Kelley School of Business, I got 85% scholarship, and the rest, some 30% scholarship, and the rest like that. So funding really played a major part, considering the part of the world that we are in, and the cost of living and the rest of it. Then secondly is the alignment of my own goal, what I intend doing after my graduation at MBA with what this course offers. For example, Fisher School of Business also they are introducing fintech, and it's a kind of new course of coming in from that school. So when I made research and also contacted the current student, I told them that okay, I want to go into fintech, and then before I even say that, I think I was also going to do to the line of what Abisinuola said. You have to be specific, because in my AC I was very, very specific. I want to go into fintech, and not only that, not only fintech, I was specific on what I'll be doing as a quantitative analyst in fintech, and then I will now pivot into an entrepreneur in fintech space. So I was very specific, and when I make research and a lot of information gathering with the current students and also some of the club presidents, they told me that okay, this school is a good fit for you. So that was the second factor for me, and that was how I made my decision between all the schools that gave me admission. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you short. Sorry, but I just want to say something, because three of them are said funding, right? And funding is like so important, but I also have like another opinion, and I feel like the goals that you have post MBA is also very important. Like I want to do PE, and PE is very niche and very hard to get into, right? So I needed to go to a school where the brand would allow me to kick those doors open, right? And I also knew that it sent like lots of people to PE. It's very, very important, right? Because if you want to, like, once you get the job, like the way you can like pay back your loans, if it's not like too much, I'm not saying like go take 250K in loans over 2 years, right? But to some significant points, you might not just be looking at just like, oh, I'm looking at schools that are going to fund me 100%, right? Different people have different considerations, right? Some people are married with kids and they really can't take that risk, while some people are like younger and can take that risk and pay off the loan in time, right? So it's not just funding. You have to look at the fact that, because as an international student, and you like hear these things once you like get an offer or whatever, as an international student, getting like jobs, the kinds of jobs that you want, means that you have to go like the extra mile compared to like domestic students, because they're trying to find companies that sponsor. And to get those companies, you need the alumni in the schools you're going to be working in those kinds of places, right? So it's not just like the funding you're looking at, because you don't want to go to school on a full ride and come back to Nigeria with like no job if your plan is to stay in the US. So you have to know that, okay, this school that I'm going to, apart from the fact that they're giving me money, that's also like very attractive. They can get me like the jobs I want to get, especially being a Black international student that lives in Nigeria or wherever. So that should be like another consideration.
Yeah. Thanks, Abisinuola, for the other perspective you've shared. So in all, yes, we are looking at the fact that you're looking at funding, and you're also looking at your post-MBA goals. So what's the employmentability report of the school you are going to? Do they have what it takes to get you to where you want to get to? These are some of the things we should also bear in mind when looking at schools to schools looking at offers we want to take. This will be my last question for you all, the panelists, and the question will be that what would be your advice? What would that, just in a very summarized, because we are already out of time, in a very simple term, in your advice, starting from Haggai, what would be your advice to prospective applicants for an MBA? Those that they just started the application, they're looking forward to apply, let's say in the class of 2025, or they're applying next year or later this year. What would be your advice? What would be that one advice to them?
Yeah, wow, it's a tricky one to put in a few words. So I think those who can start early, I mean, it's very, very important to start early. I think it helped me in my whole journey. So if you can start, where you want to do your MBA, start your preparation as early as possible. You don't want to do everything at the last minute. Round 2 or round 3 application deadline is on the 25th, and that's when you submit your application on the dot, and just actually looking at the time. It really helps to start early. So those who can start early can really afford to drive slow. So that's, I think, very key for me. And then also just be authentic in your story. I think they want to know, I think should be Abisinuola who mentioned about really taking time to be different or unique. So that's quite very, very important. And it really requires enough time for you to reflect. Don't rush into start writing minus reflecting. So that would be my advice. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Haggai. So Samuel, then Shakirat, then Abisinuola. Just one thing that you want to advise prospective applicants. Samuel, are you there?
Yeah, yes, thank you. I think for me is you need to list all your achievements, before writing that essay. Take a retrospect. Some of us, we've achieved a lot, but sometimes you don't know. So think about all those places you've worked, all those achievements you've made, all those extra curricular activities you've done, all those leadership experiences you've had. So all those things, list all those things out, all those wonderful achievements you've done, you've achieved. List all those things you have, because they will be of a great help whenever you are writing your essay. And like what Haggai said, it's very, very unique. Stand out, let your essay stand out. And let me quickly say this, you will get better with time. You understand? Your first essay may not be that good. For your second, third essay, fourth essay, will get better with time. Then another thing is you need to reach out to current students. During my time, I reach out to the president, the MBA president, tech clubs, a lot of clubs, the finance clubs. So reach out to these people. They will be of a great help. Then another thing is during those times before the round 1 started, I went to Google, I browsed MBA events, and I saw a lot of events that has to do with MBA. I applied to all those events. Some of those events will be maybe in the midnight, considering our own time zone. I attended all those events because I was actually looking for application fee waiver, you understand? So I got, in fact, all my applications, all these applications I applied, I got, all of them was free. I never paid a dime for all my applications. And again, another thing is, attend all those MBA events, attend all those main events. It's going to be of a great help to you. Network with everybody in lane, especially those guys that are already in the MBA school. Network with them. Then there is this podcast by Samuel. I always listen to those podcasts. Also, the materials from the Lane Network was also a very good resource for me. Then again, like I said, start very, very early. I started very early. That was what actually gave me that edge to have scholarship in all the schools I applied. I started very, very early, and I ensured my application was top notch. I listed all my leadership experience I've had in GT Bank, in First Bank, in Wema Bank, in Steady Bank. I listed all those things, all those external audit and auditors I've worked with, the likes of Deloitte, Oracle, Microsoft, all those things. I listed them out. All those things I've achieved as a leader then, when I was doing some volunteering work in Tech Train. I listed them out. All those things I've achieved. So in fact, at the time when I was listing all those things in one of the interview I had, the lady stood up and was even clapping. You understand? So all those things is just a kind of just sit down, get all those things you've done over time and try and put them together. And also, like I said, my CV too, because I had the normal conventional CV, but Olamide with Samuel helped me craft out my CV for me. So my CV was also a very good resource for me too. I think that's my advice. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks so much. Sorry, because of time, Shakirat and Abisinuola, I would just appreciate it to just keep it very simple. Just on that one advice you want to give prospective applicants. Shakirat, then Abisinuola.
Well, I mean, Haggai and Samuel have said a lot of things. I think everyone should take that very seriously. I will just say two things. Number one, don't count yourself out before you count yourself in. I think earlier in round one, especially after I wrote my first GRE and I wasn't proud of the score, I almost stuck myself out of not applying. And then this comes my second point. Find people before you decide, before you don't let a small talk in your head, talk you out of not doing what you really want to do. Find people. Before you reach out to 20 people, God will touch 5 people's hearts to respond to your LinkedIn message or your WhatsApp message, your Telegram message. So reach out to people. People are more willing to help than you think. Just a couple of hours before I submitted the application I submitted for round one, I reached out to a couple of guys around on LinkedIn, and one person was willing to meet me for coffee. He sat down with me and wrote my essay, and I met round one, and I was invited for interview, and that went on and on like that. So please, if you really want to do it, just go for it. Please don't doubt yourself at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Abisinuola.
Yeah, I think everyone has covered like all the important points. Okay. I would just reiterate and say that the community is very important, and always, like Shakira said, talk to people, and not necessarily when you're talking to people that are in like the schools you want to apply to, but also Lane is like such a really good resource, like really, really good resource. I know that I'll have like calls with Olawore, is like part of like the LAM program that heads it, and he'll like provide like some more perspective. When I was thinking about school selection, like he's the reason why I even applied to Talk, right? Because it was like, oh, you want to do PE? Talk is like a cult, and the alumni like go really hard to help you get like the jobs you want to get. And so just continue to like talk to people, and they'll help provide like perspectives when you're trying to like streamline the list, when you're thinking of school selection and every other thing. And they would like tell you, oh, okay, because at the point, like Shakirat said, I got it 319, like I put there. And I mean, why would you have applied to Harvard with 319 when you have like Indians that are getting like 780 in their GMAT, right? But then people were like, you know what, you've written it 3 times. I think you should apply with this score and like tidy up the other areas of the application. And I'm happy I did, because I'm going to Boston. It's 4, so yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. We really, really had a very great time with you, with the insight.